On this episode, a viewer question: where can I find some wetlands to look at? Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ideanthro for an episode that I am really excited about. Now the reason I'm really excited about it is that we have our very first viewer question. So I've been banging on at the end of lots of these episodes saying, look, if you've got a question, if there's something you're interested in, find us online, hit us up, ask us, we will attempt to make a video about it, and we have a question to answer today. So today's question comes from Toby Bennett, and essentially it goes like this. Hey Jack, I'm paraphrasing. Hey Jack, I've been watching the wetland videos recently, watching some of the videos about getting out and observing assets in the field. I've got a few wetlands that I go to, on and off to have a look at, but I want to know where more of them are. Do you have some suggestions of what I can go and look at? And we're talking kind of southeast Queensland based. Okay. Yes, Toby, yes, I do have some suggestions here. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, one thing before we do that, I suppose what struck me here is, obviously there's wetlands all over the place. And so at some point we might look for an opportunity to build some kind of, maybe a Google Maps or some sort of open source way to just permanently record the locations of some of these assets so people can go and check them out. But for now, here's a list. We're going to look on Google Maps. I'll show you where they are. And there we go. Let's do it. So let's start from the Gold Coast and we'll try and work north. So we're going to zoom in here. We want to go to Southport, in some more. Okay, here we go. Southport Broadwater Parklands here. So zooming in a bit more, the parklands here, you have the Gold Coast Highway. This will be way simpler if we go to the aerial photograph. That's not a very clear aerial photograph. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Sorry, wrong end of the parklands. Coming back up. Okay, here we go. This is it. I'm sorry that we're having some severe internet dramas there. Okay, into the parklands here. There is kind of the main street of the Southport CBD comes down. You can cross the Gold Coast Highway into the main spine of the parklands, and just to the right over here, there is a constructed stormwater wetland there. It has seen better days. It has suffered some challenges from swamp hens and all sorts of stuff. It probably, I haven't been there for a while. Last time I was there, it was pretty devoid of vegetation, but there is a wetland there, and it is worth a look. So, zooming back out a little, we can start heading north, and we're going to head up first to Coomera. So we're going to head to Coomera Waters. So Coomera Waters, Coomera exit about here, follow it out along Foxwell Road, like so, and Coomera Waters is this development over here. Coomera Waters was a really early and really good example of water sensitive urban design, and there's some really cool stuff in here. There's also some nice bioretention systems. But seal circuit is what you're looking for here. Corner of Ragamuffin Drive. We'll just we'll try and flick on the aerial photograph again if it's going to play ball. Yeah, okay, here we go. We've got a little bit of it. So it's in this parkland here. There is a small wetland. It would have been built like circa 2006, 2007. I don't know the exact date. It stood the test of time pretty well. It shows a bunch of cool functional attributes of wetlands. So that's well worth a look. Last time I was there, it has slowly, over the past few years, been having some Typha invade it, and so it's losing some of the desirable plants and having some of that taken over by Typha. But still, nonetheless, good wetland to visit. Let's get rid of the aerial photograph here, zoom back out a bit, and just come a little bit further north here to Pimpamar. And we're going to come into this development here. So let's get you a road name. Davenport Place will do the trick. There is, again, we'll try and do the aerial photograph here. Davenport Place, we're getting it it's a little challenging. It's actually probably two wetlands to check out here. Okay, here we go. One nice long wetland here, so there's an inlet pond just near to Davenport Place, and then the wetland macrophyte zone snakes its way through here, and there's an outlet over here. If you saw the episode about wetland outlets, good wetland outlet design, it was a few episodes back, then this wetland has an example of that. There was some suspicions at one point that there was a bit of a leak around the outlet, but it does have a good example of that. So if you can find it, if you can lift the lid on those pits is really heavy, so don't hurt yourself. But if you, if you got a few people and you can safely lift it, be careful you don't fall in it, all that sort of safety stuff. But that would be a site where you could take a look at the outlet pit. So, zooming back out again. Oh, and I forgot to mention, sorry, we're going back in, not that far in. This was wetland here. There is also another younger one up here. So the last time I visited these might have been 18 months ago. And this wetland was fully established, although one plant species had taken over it very thoroughly. And this wetland was only very recently planted. So obviously that's now going to be much more established. But it is interesting because you've got two wetlands by the same developer, presumably the same, a lot of the same construction techniques, the same designers. Might be some stuff to compare and contrast there. I haven't been for ages, I don't know. And wow, actually, hey, check this out. I should really pay more attention to these aerial photographs. There's another wetland that's popped up over this side on this even newer bit. This must be a really new aerial photograph. The copyright says 2016. I wonder if that's an accurate age of the photograph. Anyway, cool. You got three wetlands within the space of, like, not very far at all. That's wicked. Sweet. So, back to the map, zooming back out. Now we're going to head a bit further north, and so we'll scroll up, and we are going to, let me find it, Loganlea. So this is in Logan itself, suburbs here. We are going to get in here. This should be Loganlea Road. It is. This is Maloney Road. It's, you look at that. They've got a big blue blob. Guess what this big blue blob is? It's a wetland. So again, we'll try and get the aerial photograph here. Got a little bit coming up. So inlet pond. I think I'm right in saying, I think that's how this is set up. Let's assume that's the inlet pond. So here's the thing. Those wetland videos I made a few episodes ago, this is that wetland, okay? So yeah, inlet pond here, big old high flow bypass here, macrophyte zone here. The outlet pit that I looked at that day is down here-ish, I believe. So another wetland to look at there. Last time I was there, it was in pretty good nick. So not a bad option. Corner of Loganlea Road and Maloney Road at Loganlea. Back out we go for this trip of wetlands to look at. See, this is why a map, just a publicly accessible Google Maps would be useful, because you don't have to, you could navigate these in your own time. You don't have to wait for me to find my way across. Okay, so finding ourselves here. This is Bow Desert Road. This is Hillcrest. Okay, we're in the right area here. Zoom in a little. Here we go. Blackwell Street. Blackwell Street. Now this is, this wetland has not been built out at the time that we're making this video, but I'm still going to show it to you because it's an interesting site. So I had a bit of involvement with this when I was at Logan City Council. Essentially, as you can pick up from this map here, there's houses all around this area, and then there's this one last pocket of kind of, large lot residential that hasn't yet developed here. And council identified an opportunity to make like a regional detention basin and regional stormwater treatment facility roughly in this area here. And council has gone and, they bought the properties and have built that. And yeah, it does show up on the aerial photograph here once it gets some quality to it. I don't seem to have a good internet connection today. So council has gone in, built the flood detention component of this, also done the earthworks to like bulk out the wetland, so you can go and see that. A while ago, I made a video, I think this was one of the really early ones, about integrating like flood detention and stormwater treatment systems. And at the end of that, I visited a really large combined flood detention system. That was this site here. So well worth a look, because the landscape's got really well established using some, some natural recruitment of acacias, and then some Imperator cylindrica running in around stuff. This is in the terrestrial landscape. As I say, the wetland's not built, but it is worth a look at this particular site. So there's another one. So far, we've looked at, the sites that we've looked at have been generally pretty good. The first site at Southport, it has lost all its vegetation, but there's still a bunch of good attributes of that system. But now we're going to look at some stuff that was a bit older, before wetland design had really kind of sorted itself out, and systems that honestly have failed. So in this area of Parkinson here, so if you were coming from Blackwell Street, you'd come up the Mount Lindesay Highway / Bow Desert Road, come up to Algester Road and come in this way. And all kind of in around this green spine, Greenways Esplanade, kind of both sides of it, you're going to find some various different stormwater treatment systems. I think there's probably also some others up here. I'm less familiar with the ones up there. But all around this particular area, it's an older development. It's from like around the year 2000 plus or minus 3 or 4 years, maybe. I don't really know. There's some older stormwater treatment. There are some really nice, really simple, well-integrated streetscape bioretention systems there that you should you should definitely check out. But there's also some wetlands there that were too deep, some other problems. I've never seen the plan, so I'm not 100% sure why they've lost all their vegetation, but I've got a few suspicions. But some older systems aren't in good nick, well worth having a look at. So now, which way would I like to take you from here? Let's keep heading west and let's head out towards Ipswich. So Springfield, Augustine Heights, Springfield Lakes. Okay, this is the area. Augustine Heights is where we want to go. So over here we go. This is what we want. Cardenna Drive. You can see it just over here. We're going to zoom in. Hey, you can see a blue blob. It's like Google Maps must have run a recent, whatever they do, because they've started picking up a bunch of these relatively new wetlands as blue blobs on the street, on the street map like this. Anyway, let's go back to the aerial photograph. So what you can pick up here, developments up here. We have a couple of wetlands running through this area here, adjacent to the creek corridor. Now, integration-wise, I love these wetlands. They're also pretty good examples of, the three-component design for wetland, where you have the inlet pond, you have the macrophyte zone for treatment, and you have a high-flow bypass. It's a pretty good example of that. But for whatever reason, and I'm not 100% sure why, these wetlands have also lost all their vegetation. They don't, so unlike the Southport ones, where there's a large population of purple swamp hens, which are known for loving to, so they want to make, they want pretty clear sight lines, so they like to kind of pull down the vegetation so they can see for it at a distance for safety. But purple swamp hens also like to take these emergent plants that we've got, snap them off part way up, and bend them over, and you do that to enough of them, they can create themselves like little pads to roost on above the water. Purple swamp hens love to do that. Southport Broadwater Parklands, they definitely did that. They were definitely part of the reason why those plants disappeared. These wetlands have lost their plants. They don't have anywhere near as large a population of purple swamp hens as the other side. So I've heard a few theories about why these have lost their veg. I'm not really sure, but nonetheless, there's some wetlands to go and look at there. So continuing from here, we're going to zoom back out. Now we're going to head north. We are going to, I'm actually going to use the search here because Bowie's, see, this is really, Bowie's Flat Wetland, Camp Hill, comes up on the Google search. So just to give you some context here, I'll zoom back out for a tick, maybe. Okay, so we can see we're kind of in the East Brisbane area. This is in Camp Hill, so the city of Brisbane's there. South Bank, South Brisbane is over here, and we've headed east past the Gabba, Bowie Flat Wetland. Let's get back into it here. So this was quite an early wetland, not long after the year 2000, I think it was built. So pretty early, built by Brisbane City Council as a retrofit, to the best of my knowledge. I'm sure it was a retrofit. Anyway, it also lost all its vegetation. It lost it pretty early. There's a few theories as to why that might be the case. One of them was definitely that the outlet was an undesirable design and got blocked up. The thing you need to know if you visit Bowie's Flat is that it has changed a lot from its original design over the time. It was meant to have different cells that water snaked around in. The water depths got too deep, the cells got blown out. Since then, council has tried a whole bunch of different things to try and rehab it. They are actively trying some at the moment. So just be aware, there's a massive story to this wetland. So anything you go out and have a look at, which is actually, honestly, a good reason to go out and look at it, but anything you do go and look at there doesn't necessarily reflect what it was like originally. Just putting that out there. So that's Bowie's Flat. We will now zoom back out, and for people on the north side, we will actually, I'm just thinking, what is the name? What is the name of this wetland? This one over this way. Ooh, I'm gonna try. Yeah, let's try it. Whoops. Sandalwood Street, Thornlands. I think that's the one. This looks about right. Come on. Okay, so heading east a bit here is this. I just want to see an aerial of this a good aerial of this before I celebrate. Yeah, okay. This is cool. This is another wetland. This is over Redlands City Council area. This wetland was built, so obviously you can see the subdivisions kind of going on here. This was built as like a semi-regional system for these subdivisions. So as I understand it, I might have my facts a little bit wrong here, these developments came along. There was an existing big old farm dam here, because Redlands have a history of like old small lot farming. There was an old farm dam here, and council and the developers got together, and probably through infrastructure agreements, not 100% sure. Anyway, the developers all contributed to one wetland, which one of the developers built initially, then I think another one might have added to. Anyway, wetland here. It's interesting. It's got an inlet pond. It's got a high flow bypass. It has a macrophyte zone, and then it has a bit of the wetland that's accidentally a little bit too deep. But anyway, that's worth a look, and that's over in the Redlands. So there are other wetlands over in the Redlands, but I don't know where they are off the top of my head. So zooming back out, we are now going to head north. So a little bit more. Okay, so heading north out of Brisbane. There are some wetlands around North Lakes. I actually really don't know very much about them, and I get kind of lost around North Lakes, but if you're looking for stuff, just have a search around there on the aerial photographs yourself. Where I wanted to go is up here to Morayfield. And because I'm not exactly familiar with the layout of Morayfield, we are going to search it. Glen May Court? No. Glen May, there we go. Glen May Court, Morayfield. Okay, you saw that zoom in. Right there, so Glen May Court. Yeah, so if you want to park for this one, come out to the end of Glen May Court, park up here, there's a path through, and then in this park here, there's really quite a nice little wetland. So this was built by council as a retrofit for this area. So big old, floodway, storm drain comes down here, inlet pond, high flow bypass, lovely macrophyte zone through there. Really cool integration with seating. There's also like kind of rocks to step down into the wetland. There's outlet over here. Really quite nicely done. As you can see from this aerial photograph, it has lost a lot of its vegetation, which is unfortunate, but I still think it's still worth a look. So that's Glen May. And then finally, one more. This next one is around Cooundra. I'm going to have to search for it because I don't know the area. Ron Parkinson Crescent, I think, is the spot we're after. Yes, it is. Okay, let's zoom out, figure out where this is. So this is in an industrial area. I think it's kind of southwest of Cooundra. Yes, it is. It's near the Bells Creek area. So you can see it there. We'll zoom into it. You can see another one of these blue blobs, beautifully rounded off rectangle shape. This was, I'm not really sure of the history of this, but there's a wetland here. It's on industrial land. As I think we can see from the aerial photograph, it hasn't really been built out yet, but the wetland's there. There's some funny patterns of vegetation and stuff. You might want to check that one out as well. Okie dokie. So, Toby, I hope that helps out. I hope that answers your question. There's a few ideas there. I really appreciate that you got in contact and asked me, because I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the opportunity to, to answer that question, to share ideas. I get heaps out of doing this. So mate, thank you very much. And that's it for this episode of Ideanthro. Obviously, the theme of this is asking a question. So if you got a question, hit us up. We'd be more than happy to answer it. But for now, have a great time. See ya.